Okay, I think we can probably start.
Do you want to start, Anna, or shall I?
You can start.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining from wherever else you are in the world and whatever time it is for you. I'm Lauren. I am the co-founder and CEO of Animal Advocacy Careers, and yeah, I guess you're all here because you want to know more about the partnerships and program role. Maybe it's helpful for you to know a little bit about Animal Advocacy Careers. We're an organization that tries to help match people to roles and opportunities that help animals most. And I guess the impetus for this role is for the first few years, we were really testing out different programs to see if they were helpful to helping people get jobs. Turns out they are quite helpful. We've helped 95 people at this point transition into careers that help animals. And now we're really looking for somebody to come and help accelerate those programs. So by hopefully creating partnerships with other organizations, we can just get more people and get more exposure to the programs that we've created that we know actually do work. And so the person who will be hired, I guess, will be directly managed by me, but working very closely with Anna, who is our Senior Marketing Manager and I think has been with us for 3 years. But I'll let you introduce yourself, Anna.
Yeah, I think you already said the most important. I'm the Senior Marketing Manager, so I mostly do marketing and like some other projects because we are a small team. So like when you join us, you will see that you will do many different things. But yeah, like you, the partnerships person would be working closely with me because like also one of the goals is to really like expand our reach through organizations and also like to help us step into other organizations' audience. So yeah, I created like a Slido for you to share your questions. So I will drop the link in the chat. And basically, you just have to open this link and then you will see like a platform where you can ask your questions. And the way that we can work with this is that you will input your question and then other people can upvote so that we might not have time to answer to all the questions. So this way it will help us prioritize and we will make sure to answer all of the questions that are more widely voted. So now we can wait a little bit for you to start inputting your questions if the link is working well. I think so.
That's great, Anna. I also just wanted to make just say something. A few of you have added me on LinkedIn, which is lovely, and sent me messages with your CVs. But just so you know how our recruitment process works, it's actually completely blinded. So we won't be looking at the CVs or LinkedIn. So if you do send me a message, it's not really a very good use of your time, even though it's lovely that so many of you care about getting a role at Animal Advocacy Careers. It won't help because I won't know basically who it is that I'm scoring or ranking. So just to save people time and energy, letting you know that unfortunately this strategy will not assist you in this process at this point.
Okay, maybe I can start reading the questions. There is one with a lot of votes already. Is this role more operational or advocacy?
I don't know what that means.
If you ask this question, do you want like to elaborate a bit? Or if someone has more like thoughts about this? Okay, maybe like from my understanding, I guess the question maybe it's like if you're going to be doing a lot of operational things like admin work or something like that, or if it's more like reaching out to organizations and communications.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe it's because it's a bit of an odd role to maybe people. So the reason why we decided to kind of combine two aspects is that we currently have a database which has candidates on it, and it's the only B2B service that we actually have. So most of the services that AAC have are B2C, so we're helping people to get roles, and the only product that we have is this B2B database, which the person would own. But of course, part of creating and making that B2B product work is the partnerships and relationships with organizations. So I don't think it does have some aspects of both. Like, I think it would be helpful for the person to have some ability to be able to work with tech, and to understand how to make the database like run efficiently, and also to kind of like monitor and evaluate it. But I do think that the skills that are required most for this role are these kind of like people skills, that would make you a good partnerships person. If that answers the question. If it doesn't, please feel free to clarify, whoever it is that asked.
Yeah, I think that was perfect. So how many people are you looking to hire for this role? We are just looking to hire one person, and this will be a part-time role. What would you say are the biggest challenges the person in this role will face? Lauren, you want to reply?
I'm on mute, but I feel like I'm going to say the same thing as you. I'm certain of it. And actually, we just had an evaluation of our OKRs today, and almost all of us were just like, we've given ourselves too many key results. So I think that the thing that is actually really hard working at Animal Advocacy Careers is that there's so many things that we would love to do, and there's not enough time to do them all. So I think the biggest challenge is actually being able to prioritize in accordance with like what will actually help us the most. And obviously we can work on that together, and it's a bit of a trial and error, I think. But like, even 5 years in, I'm still not getting it right, and 3 years in, Anna still isn't always getting it right. But yeah, it's quite a challenge to prioritize what might be the most helpful in the role. What do you think, Anna?
Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely feel that that's my biggest challenge. Like, because we're such a small team and you want to accomplish so much, and then you have like all of these priorities. And for me, really, the hardest thing is to define, okay, I can only focus on like 3 or 4. So let's really decide what those are. And I think for this role, it will be really similar thing. Can I ask you a question? Like, I'm receiving a lot of messages and questions on the chat, but I'm finding it really hard to like keep attention in all of these things. So if you can just like use Slido, I would appreciate it so much, because it's like hard to read it in all the places. Okay, what does creating a AAC's partnership strategy look like?
I mean, it can look however you want it to. I guess like Anna is such a good example. When we first started AAC, Jamie, my co-founder, and us created these products, which were our online course, job board, and career advising. And we were like, Anna, help us design our marketing strategy and help us get more people. And yeah, within like, I don't know, a couple of months, you'd helped quadruple the number of people that had taken the online course in 2 years. And I think that that's probably what we're looking for from the partnerships person, to just take the initiative and come in and be like, I think this is what you should do. And as long as it's in line with the organization strategy, which we're very transparent on, and it's also a collaborative process, then go for it. Like, try it out, see what works. We're all learning. And yeah, I think that the partnership strategy is whatever you think it should be, as long as it is helping us to increase, I guess, the visibility and the number of people who are engaging with our services.
Yeah, exactly. Like at AAC, no one will tell you what to do. Yeah, we'll just have like, okay, these are our goals as a team. This will be like the goals in it for each person or each department, and then you just decide how you will like accomplish those goals. And of course, we discuss about it, and other people will give you feedback and input, say if that seems like a good idea and everything. But it's very, very like autonomous. What key performance indicators will be used to evaluate the effectiveness of the partnerships and program specialists?
That's a very good question. So I think the first part of the onboarding will be kind of defining those together. I could see it going in a couple of different directions. One could just be like, how much do you increase the number of partnerships that we have, like with different organizations? Another one could be just able to take on that product and make it better and get more people referring other people to that product. So I think it kind of depends on the skills of the person. But our main objective in general is to help more people get roles in organizations. So anything that you're doing to kind of contribute towards that, and as long as you can show how what you're achieving contributes towards that, then yeah, we're pretty open in terms of like KPIs, and I wouldn't want to have already decided those for you before you join the organization, because that would probably inhibit your creativity somewhat.
Yeah, maybe one important note on this is that the way AAC measures like impact, it's a bit different, because we only learned that people got roles maybe like 1 year after like we made a program, right? So like they took our online course, and maybe like only 6 months or 1 year later they will get a job, or even if they join the candidate database. So because of that, we like to measure our short-term results, we focus more on like more granular indicators, like the ones Lauren were discussed, like number of people that come to the top candidate database, number of client organizations, etc. And then like over time you will see, okay, we got one placement that was achieved through the top candidate database. Then you will be like, okay, this was like a huge impact, but usually we focus more on the short-term ones.
Yeah, it could also be like, oh, you got AAC published in some media outlets, and X number of people visit them, and you think based on your past experience or intuition that this kind of thing is the kind of thing that AAC needs to increase its brand exposure. So there's lots of different ways that it could kind of go. And again, that's why it's quite important that we would assess, like we would decide the KPIs based on the talents and skills of the person, as opposed to us just being like, this is what we very binary think that you should be doing.
Yeah. What characteristics are you looking for in a person to ensure their success in this position?
We actually do have a list of criteria. Maybe we should, I'd be happy to, maybe it would be helpful to share it.
I think this one was written in the job description though.
Ah, okay. Well, that's even more helpful. Do you want to read what's in the job description, or should we just tell the person to read the job description? Yeah, I guess one thing that I think is really important to the role, and we have as like one of our key criteria, is being a brand ambassador. So it's the ability to be able to understand what we do as an organization, and to kind of match that with what the other partner organization might be doing, or the media outlet, or whatever it is, and be able to really comprehensively kind of sell AAC to that organization, what the benefits are, why it's helpful for them. And yeah, I think that this is something that we're really looking at, that you'd be able to go to conferences and kind of represent AAC to a diverse audience as well, because I think we don't just want to kind of stick in our own existing audience, but also to be able to engage with new audiences and partners, and be able to match what we do with what their organization is looking for.
Exactly. And one thing that's a bit related to our culture and what we were explaining is that you should be like proactive and also like flexible and have some strategic thinking, in a way that you will be defining your own goals and your own tasks. And sometimes our priorities, like every quarter we analyze our priorities. So sometimes we might get feedback from our programs that some program is working really well. So we decide like to focus on those. So yeah, you need to be like, not be resistant to change as well. Okay, what kind of support can I expect from my manager and team, especially during the onboarding phase?
Yeah, and then maybe you should answer this, because I'm probably biased.
I think like this is a bit like, maybe for each person it would look different. For me, like the support was perfect. Because like if you have any questions to ask, you will always like get them answered. And we have like our operations person, and she has designed like a perfect onboarding system, like really, really useful with, I don't know, every tool that you need to learn, every system, like the systems we use and how like everything works in the organization. So that's really nice. And then when it comes to work, probably we will be like, okay, you define your like OKRs, your like 90-day plan for what you're going to they're going to do in this role, and then you'll get feedback on it. So like it's not the kind of support that someone will create this plan for you, but they will give you feedback and explain you how to improve it and what you could do better. Yeah. Not sure if I replied, if there's something else related to this, but yeah.
I think you did it perfectly. I guess the only thing is that I guess that as any organization, we have like a way of thinking, and the part of the onboarding is like taking our online course, so you understand like why we prioritize the things that we do, reading our strategic documents, so you understand like why we're where we're going towards. You get to meet with every team member, so you get to understand more about them. Yes, myself and the operations manager will be there to support you in designing your KPIs and kind of what you want to achieve for the first few months. But I think it's also very helpful if the person can tell us what they need. Like if there's something missing from our onboarding process, or if you need some more feedback on something, I really appreciate somebody telling me, hey, I actually don't have, because it's quite hard as a remote organization to understand where someone else is at and how they're feeling. So I really appreciate people telling me like, hey, I'd like more calls during this period, I feel a little bit lost or something like that. So if you have the ability to clearly communicate your needs, that will serve you well in our organization.
Perfect. Are there specific projects or partnerships currently in progress that the person in this role would be involved with? There are a few.
Yeah, I guess they'll be taking over the existing ones. That part of the reason that we decided to hire for this role is because poor Anna has the role of like 3 people. So we've like slowly but surely hired like more people. And we currently have, I think, 4 existing partnerships. One with high impact professionals to start a new database. I don't think you would take over that partnership. We have one with Giving What We Can. I don't know if they would take over that one, Anna, because it's quite related to your Giving for Animals. The 2 that I think definitely would be helpful for the person to take over is Scarlet Spark, who provide resources for people in management and leadership, and New Roots Institute, who provide resources for students in the US. So those 2 partnerships, I feel like we're underserving and undervaluing those wonderful partnerships that we have. So it would be great if the person could take them over. But I think the main part of this role would be like growing those partnerships, not like maintaining much on those existing ones, because I think they're already kind of at a reasonable position as they are.
Mm-hmm. Do you plan to extend the role from part-time to full-time? And do you consider employment instead of freelance contract? Oh,
this is a very good question. Okay, so so Anna is again a great example, who started on part-time, and as I just said, actually ended up having 3 roles in one. So I definitely think that if it seems like the role, that there's more that you can do in the role and you don't have the time, we're a very flexible organization, and it's definitely a conversation that we could have. This is probably something that you don't know, Ada, but I would like the organization to transition more towards employment in the next few years, so that our team are full-time employees. But of course, that will be a transition, and it won't happen overnight. And it's also contingent on funding, of course. So all of these things kind of like are a little unstable at the moment. But I think the most important thing is that if you identify that the role needs to be more than part-time, we can either hire some support for you, or we can discuss full-time employment. The most important thing is that you're able to do your job well, and that we can support you on that.
What is a usual working day for AAC looks like? I would say it looks different for every team member.
Yeah, it does.
So mostly, I would say mostly like you just work, like it's a bit autonomous. So you would be working by yourself, and then like we use Asana for communications, but we don't have like policy that you have to work very fast. Usually, like when we need another person's response within less than 1 day or something, we make it clear that it's an urgent thing. So we try not to have a lot of distractions like day to day. And then we have like some meetings, probably for the first like weeks or months. You would have like maybe one meeting with Lauren per week. I'm not sure, you can confirm. Yeah, and then it would depend a lot on the type of work that you would be doing. So like this is, yeah, what is written in the job description, strategizing like what kind of partnerships to get, reaching out to them, having meetings with the contact person at other organizations. Yeah, things like that. And our work is very flexible. So for example, for me, sometimes like yesterday I was just like hanging out the whole afternoon and then I worked at night, you know, so that there's flexibility for you to work at the times that are most convenient for you. There's no like specific day hours that you have to be working.
Yeah, that was a very good overview. Yeah, I think it's probably strange to people that we don't have like a communication tool other than Asana. So it is very autonomous in terms of like you can plan and structure your day how you want to. I actually have calendar blocks for when I reply to emails now. So I've structured my own day around that. And there isn't really a clear time when you need to work. So that's also really helpful. My energy dips and flows. So often I'll take the afternoon off as well. And I know Anna and I are like chatting to each other at night and I'm like, oh, okay, then we obviously have the same energy level. So we don't mind when you're working as long as like the outputs are, you know, good with your role. We're really flexible around that. And we don't have that many team meetings. We have like one monthly team meeting, and we have quite a lot of coordination calls. So that's where like Anna, myself, Patricia, who works on learning and design, and Engen, who does research, kind of come together so that we can talk about what we're all working on and how we can support each other. So I think probably every week you'll have some form of like team meeting, whether it's like a coordination call, whether it's a team meeting, whether it's like an OKR review or something like that. So you should see all of our faces at least once a week, but a lot of it will just be you setting your own tasks or responding to other tasks. And yeah, I think the work itself will vary a lot depending on what like kind of key results you have. Like for example, my last quarter I was at a lot of conferences, which I don't really enjoy that much. But hopefully that won't happen for the next 2 quarters. So I'll be sitting here and like doing strategy documents or doing a little bit of fundraising. And yeah, I think it really varies based on like kind of the objectives that you're prioritizing for the month as to what the workload would look like.
How much traveling is involved? You mentioned conferences.
Yeah, okay. It's hard to know because I think for this partnerships role, I imagine that you would be doing a similar amount of traveling as what I do. So the first few years were actually COVID, so it's very difficult for me to say what it would have been like. I didn't do a lot of traveling then. This year, I think I will go to 5 conferences, and they are global. So there was one in the US, there's been one in Poland, 2 in the UK, and why am I forgetting where the other one was? I can't. Oh, it's in Brazil. So that's why, because it's the first time I'm going there. So I guess there is a reasonable amount of travel. It is possible, I guess, if you don't like traveling, and I imagine it's like more of an efficiency gain, that maybe you wouldn't want to go to as many conferences. And of course, we could also divide them up. So rather than me going to all 5 of them, you could go to 2 that are maybe closer to you, and I could go to the other 3. So I guess if you really like travel, then it's a great role for you, because you could just kind of make the argument that you should go to more conferences. And we probably won't say no if there's an opportunity to go to like an environmental conference, for example, and you think that AAC should have more partnerships with environmental organizations. So I think it's really varied on what your preferences are and whether you would like to do some more traveling, or whether you think that actually you could do better work by doing less travel, and then we can kind of just divide up the core conferences between the team.
I'm not sure if this is something you want to share with us, but I'm curious as to what software supports the candidate database.
Oh, it's Airtable. Yeah, so there's so many improvements that could be made. Database, honestly, it really it could go in so many different directions, but Airtable, I guess, is just the one that we're using right now. So if you have recommendations of other ones, I would be very happy for you to decide to take it into a different direction.
This one is, as this is a remote position, is my chosen offline time respected, or do you have like a 24/7 digital availability culture? I think we responded to this in another question.
Yeah, but maybe it's helpful to just say no. It's I think the only times where you need to be online are, I think, during team meetings, and if the team meetings are like the monthly team meetings, if they're like very inconvenient to you, I think we did this with a previous team member. We can look to try and shift them to a different time that also works with the team. But yeah, the rest of the time, just do what you need to do. As long as the kind of output's there, we won't be time checking when and where you're working.
What if the job demands more than 20 hours per week?
Yeah, then I guess we review it. I think in all of our monthly one-to-ones, we have a question which is like, where is the workload? Is it too much? Is it too little? Is it just right? And if it seems like every month it's too much, then we just need to have a conversation about it and to analyze why it's too much. Is it like a not good prioritization, or is it literally that you just have too much work on? And in that case, do we need to extend the hours? Do we need to get you some support? I guess this is just like a fluid conversation that we would need to have. And of course, when we're making these job descriptions, it's really hard for us to know whether it is a full-time role, whether it's a part-time role, whether it needs to be a role. All of these questions are like things that we kind of have to discover and learn together. So yeah, it would be an ongoing conversation as long as you had the flexibility to take on more hours. And if not, of course, we can just hire some support for you.
What opportunities for professional development and growth are available for this role? And can you share some examples of career progression within AAC?
Oh, I love this question. Okay, so we have a very transparent compensation policy, which will probably be updated again in March next year. And basically what it is that every year you will get the option to be promoted with a $5,000 increase of your salary with additional responsibilities. And that happens for 2 years. And then you're at the top of your band. And then there's another band on top of that, which would be like kind of like departmental role. And I assume as our team grows that one of these will open at some point. So there would probably be the opportunity to become like a director level at some point. So that's in terms of kind of like your own individual development. And then for professional development, we actually also reviewed that today as a team, and you have like kind of the option to spend a certain portion of your time on professional development. And we also have like team accountability, like what are we going to be working on this quarter? And also as a team, just like this quarter as an example, we're going to do like a feedback professional development for all of us together. We're also going to be doing a team retreat where we're also focusing on like how to do OKRs well, how to do like feedback well. But you as an individual will also probably have a conversation with myself where we talk about where you want to get to in future and like what kind of skills you would like to develop. And then, but then it is kind of on you to decide like, hey, Lauren, I would like to spend this amount of time and budget on developing this skill. But I'm also very happy to support, like, say, if you said, I really want to get better at fundraising, then we can have the conversation about like what kind of skills and resources might help you with the fundraising.
How does the AAC company culture look like? Not sure if there's something we haven't said yet.
Yeah, I guess like you can look at our values on our website. We're very independent, but still collaborative and supportive, which I guess is a very strange mix because you'd probably be one or the other. You're either really independent and you're not a team player. But I think we strike the balance of actually being very supportive to each other, but still very independent. I think we all really care about what we do. I think that every single one of our team members is really hardworking, and I'm surprised that we've managed to achieve as much with a very small team. And I get that constantly when people will say to me at the conference, "You're such a small team, but you do so much." And I think that's just because every team member takes accountability and responsibility for their own job. I don't know, Anna, if there's anything else you wanted to.
One thing I'm remembering is that we also really value like experimenting and trying new things. So okay, that's particular to my role because I always want to be like doing A/B tests and trying new campaigns and everything. But I think with every role we try to, try new things that could be very, very successful, and we always try to leave some room for this type of work that's more experimental.
Yeah, that's a great point.
This role seems very similar to communications and strategic partnerships. What is the programmatic aspect of it?
Yeah, so I think you're right. There's definitely a role of comms there, which is why you'd be working heavily with Ana. And as I said, this role was in part based on the fact that Ana was doing the role of 3 people and is just one human. So we needed to hire some support for her. The programmatic side of it is that we have it's like we call it a candidate database. And the way that it works is that when we work with 30 different organizations who all have hiring rounds, and you can only hire one person, but there might be another 4 or 5 great candidates that you would love to hire, but for whatever reason, they just weren't the number one candidate. So they give us back those candidates and they sit in a database. And when other organizations are doing a hiring round, they can log on to this database and they already have like a list. There's 190 candidates on there now. It works really well for smaller organizations because big organizations usually will get thousands and thousands of candidates and can still only hire one person. And smaller organizations, no matter how much exposure, will probably only ever get like 200 candidates tops. So I think it's particularly valuable for small organizations because they just get a much bigger candidate pool than these larger organizations. And this database basically just needs I don't know what it needs, Ana. I think it just needs like the magical touch of someone like coming in and taking ownership of it, because I think to date it's been a kind of neglected program, and I think that it would be really valuable to make relationships with some organizations and kind of walk them through how to use it, make sure that it's embedded in their hiring process. So the first point is like they look at this database, they use the database, and also just to make sure that the candidates on there are like up to date, get feedback from those candidates. Are they getting like inquiries from organizations? So to just make sure that the kind of the running of the database itself is going well. But I think that the crux of the problem here is actually just this partnership and relationship with organizations, making sure that they're actually using the product, because it sounds like it should work. So it should work. It's just not doing right now. And maybe you can fix that problem.
Yeah, just want to add, like, there will be also the platform aspect of it. So someone was asking what was the software. So maybe you would make improvements on the software, making some automations to make it work better with organizations and candidates, to make them much better, things like this. So you also be thinking about software improvements and things like that. Yeah. What is the deadline for application?
That is not a deadline. It's a rolling application. It's this is how experimental we are. To date, we've always done deadlines, and this is the first time that we are doing a rolling application. And the reason is that we just want to hire someone that is the right person, and we will carry on forever if we have to with this like recruitment process until we find the person. So we have very specific criteria, and then as long as the person like gets to that criteria and we feel confident that they'll be able to do the job, then we will make an offer to that person.
Yeah, so this doesn't mean that you can delay forever. This means that you should apply now.
Because otherwise it could get filled, you know.
Yeah, we already started reviewing, and it's like we already have a lot, over 200. So yeah, so like when we find the right person, we will make the offer. You're accepting rolling applications, but it looks like you want to have someone on board by August. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the process won't take too long, although it's taking us a long time to do the screening, which is just mine and Ana's fault, because we're doing the screening and keep getting pulled in a million different directions because we're relaunching a new website at the moment as well. So I think once we've actually done the initial screening, the process itself shouldn't take too long. There will be a screening call with either Aniha, who's our operations manager, or myself. Then there will be test tasks. So if you're able to send those in quickly, we should be able to evaluate them relatively quickly. And then there'll be a final interview. So, I mean, I think it would actually be possible if we decided to send you an email today, taking you to the next stage for it to be finished in a month, if you also were able to be available for the interviews and the test tasks.
Can you give some keywords or specific skills you need? Okay, I have the criteria in front of me, so I can like read some words. Okay, so ability to be a great ambassador with strong verbal communication skills, relationship building skills, strategic skills, detail-oriented, planning, interpersonal, already said, proactive, taking initiative and independence, collaborative, team-oriented, inclusive working style. Yeah, those are the main things I found.
Not too many things to ask. Yeah, I guess you don't have to be all of those things. It's nice if you are, but yeah, if you have very strong skills in certain areas and we think that you will make you'll just be good at those things, then that would be great. But of course it's great if you do fill all those criteria, and if you do and you haven't already applied, please apply, because you might be the person we're looking for.
Part-time equals 20 hours per week. What if you work less or more to get the job done? Is there some sort of login and log out when you work, plus is pay adapted?
No, pay is not adapted if you work more hours. I guess the way that it could work is that if you felt like you were doing too little and you wanted to make it up at some point, then we would also just have this conversation. Is the workload too little, too much, just right? And then based on that conversation, we can kind of take away responsibilities, add responsibilities, hire someone else, increase your hours, all the options of the world. But yeah, I think really the most important thing is less the hours that you're working, and as you've identified, just actually producing the things that you need to produce in order to do the job right. Anna, do you have thoughts on this? Because you might have some experience on.
Yeah, I think it always comes down to the goals that you set. So like if you define that you would get 5 partnerships in a month, and you think that it would take you much more hours than you're doing to achieve them, then just set up like 2 partnerships for the next month, you know. Yeah, so like what can happen is that you, at the end of the month, you're like, okay, with the 20 hours that I did per week, I didn't have time to fulfill all of these partnerships. And we'll be okay, you just defined like a goal that's too high, which happens to us all the time. So then you have to like adapt for the next month. So I think it's highly like adaptable, and you will need to be able to understand, okay, how much work can I get done in 20 hours per week? And you will need to account for that. Yeah. What computer skills does the candidate need?
I think there is a range in our team, as we also discussed in our team meeting today, where I was asking Anna if she could help me to learn how to automate emails. But I do think that for this role, it would be quite useful to have some tech skills because of the database side of things. So I imagine it would be quite useful for the person to be able to use Airtable so that you can like analyze the current status of the database. And if you had some areas, if you could improve the Airtable, that would be great. Or if you could like make a recommendation of a different technological product that could improve it. So probably leaning on a higher tech level than I have. I don't know, Anna, like what you think in terms of other skills.
Yeah, but it's like you don't have to like program or anything like that. It's mostly about using tools. Like for example, if you know how to automate things using Zapier or Make.com, or like, yeah, it's like mostly on the user side, you know. So like being tech savvy, but not like an IT person. Yeah. I can no longer bear spending a lot of time directly facing the suffering of non-human animals. Would this be a difficulty? Thankfully, no. I do find that I'm very lucky in that sense, because I feel like I'm able to have a job with impact without having to see any of this, because that's the thing. We just work with like helping organizations and helping candidates. So we don't do direct advocacy campaigns, you know. So it's yeah, you don't need to usually like it's very rare. And I don't remember any case where I had to look at something. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I completely agree with that. You also get an extra 2 days off a year where you can visit, either have a mental health day or go to a sanctuary. So if you then choose to go and visit animal suffering, then that's kind of on you. But most of it will be, yeah, I think we get the feeling of our impact comes actually from helping people change roles. And because we do get a lot of direct feedback from that, you'll often see people at conferences or through an interview, and someone will be like, you changed my life, I now have the role of my dreams, and that feels really nice. But I do think that it's interesting, because I think for some people that's sad, because they don't actually see the direct impact of helping a specific animal. So it is one step removed from helping animals. I do think that it has a huge amount of impact and helps a lot of animals. But yeah, if you're looking for a role where you feel like you get to actually directly see how many individual animals that you've helped, that could potentially be like a reason why it might not be the right role for you.
How often are performance reviews conducted, and what does the feedback process look like?
The performance reviews are once a year, although you do also have a statement of work that you produce. So that's like, because as a contractor, that's what you need to do. So you would say, I'm going to produce these 6 outcomes, or however many outcomes you have. And then biannually, we'll go through whether you've achieved those outcomes or you haven't achieved those outcomes. And in regards to feedback, we have 2-way feedback at least once a month, where you talk about one success and one area for improvement for both yourself and for me. And then, yeah, that's how it works. I think we're not great at feedback. I think we lean far too heavily on the positive side of feedback and not enough on the like improvement areas. But as I said, we are taking a workshop on that hopefully this month, and it will also be part of our team retreat. So hopefully you'll bear with us on the feedback side of things as we kind of improve as a team to give more critical but supportive feedback to people.
Yeah, just one small thing to add, like we also try to give a lot of feedback on smaller projects every time we do something. Like, let's say you created a strategy for partnerships. You could ask feedback of like 2 or 3 different people in the team, and they would give you like detailed feedback and ideas to improve and everything.
Yeah, that's probably very important, actually. We do, and we give real-time feedback on that as well. So if you were trying to produce something and it just wasn't the right thing, then we would immediately tell you like, hey, maybe go in this direction. Here's some other things you can do. So it's less personal feedback and more like work-related feedback, which I think we're probably reasonably good at that and don't need too many areas of improvement for it.
Yeah. Are any benefits offered for part-time roles? Not sure how benefits work for companies with candidates from multiple countries.
Yeah, it's a really good question. So the way that it works at Animal Advocacy Careers is as a contractor, you have your base salary, and then we give you an amount of money which you can use for whatever you decide, basically, and that is based on the country that you're from. So it's a range between a certain amount, and we can discuss that in an interview, but you can basically self-direct where you decide to take that money, whether you want to invest in a pension, whether it's for health insurance, whether it's for I don't know, but we do advise you to actually use that money towards doing something like that, not just having it as like an extra money to go out and buy new shoes or something. It's kind of like it's self-directed benefits as opposed to like specific benefits. But the benefits that you do get, you also have like self-managed time off, and as I said, those extra days for mental health day or like visiting a sanctuary as well. But all of those things are written in the job descriptions.
Yeah. Apart from skills, is there a knowledge base you expect the candidate to have for this role? No, like as Lauren was saying, you would be taking our online course, and that would offer a lot of the knowledge that you need, and then just like reading all of our strategic documents and everything. But I think this could be done just in the onboarding process, right?
Yes, definitely. And I think I read a comment of whether you need to be vegan. You don't need to be vegan. I don't know whether everyone on my team is vegan, but I suspect at least like one person at least is not vegan, and that's totally fine. Like, you don't need to be vegan, but you do need to be passionate about our mission, which is to help, you know, more people get impactful roles that help animals. And yeah, the online course is a lot of knowledge all in once about like why we prioritize farmed animal welfare, like why helping animals is so important. So I don't think you need to know these things in advance. Yeah, I think just the skills of the job are the most important.
Will language will be a barrier for non-native English speakers? Basic English proficiency is enough to start. Like it depends, I think. Like you would have some meetings with organizations, so I think like you don't need to have perfect English, but it would like you would have to be understandable. And also like when it comes to written communication, I think it would it would need to be really good. But I also think there are lots of tools that can help with this. I'm not sure if Lauren has something.
Yeah, I guess like a lot of our team aren't native English speakers. And I think at least one team member even said in their application, and they were hired, by the way, that their English wasn't the strongest. But that has not been like problematic for him, I don't think. I think it was just something he was like, I really want to improve on this. And he does a lot of written content as well. So as long as like, and we can also make accommodations for that if you just write that you're a non-native speaker, as long as it's like yeah, as long as you're able to do the key parts of the job, which is being able to communicate with people directly, as Ana said, and the written communication is readable in English, I think that should be fine, and hopefully isn't preventing you from wanting to apply for the role.
Yeah. Like even me, like I use ChatGPT all the time, asking if what I wrote is correct. You know, I'm like, is the grammar correct here? So like, there's many things you can do.
The most embarrassing part of this, Ana, is I think that your grammar is better than mine.
It's because I asked ChatGPT.
Yeah. So,
if the candidate is interested in traveling for the conferences, who sponsors traveling cost, and will the country of their residence be a limitation?
If you can't get a visa, then yes, that will be a limitation. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if there's that much that we can do about it, but we would pay for the travel costs, of course, for your, yeah, and we have like a specific travel policy, which you should get reimbursed for all the costs. You also get time off in lieu for the time that you've spent at the conference, which I think is nice. I didn't get that when I was back in my for-profit days. So we don't, you actually do get some additional benefits from working from a nonprofit. So yeah, we pay for the travel, we would pay for your food up to a certain amount. We don't pay for alcohol, and the food does need to be vegan. So if you're not vegan, but you are eating on behalf of AAC, you will need to eat vegan food, because that is part of our policy for the organization. Yes, but you should be reimbursed for that. But sometimes we do also get travel supplements from specific conferences that we go to, particularly if you're a speaker, which is also really great. If you can get a speaker spot, then sometimes we get actually paid for by the conferences that we go to, but you would not be expected to pay for your own travel to go to a conference where you're representing Animal Advocacy Careers.
You mentioned the blind hiring process. Are all of the steps blind until a final interview?
That used to be the case. It is no longer the case, because it will be blinded. We won't actually be checking CVs or the LinkedIn. We'll be trying to actually just use the answers that you provide. And then the first step will actually be, I think it's a phone interview. So, but we'll probably be able to gauge at least some parts of who you are. By that point, we used to not do that, but I think actually we've realized from previous hiring rounds that we didn't do enough like behavioral questions to make sure if someone was a good cultural fit for AAC. We were very much skill-based before, and I think that has led, unfortunately, to some problems in our hiring. So we've decided actually to prioritize making sure that somebody is a good cultural fit at the expense of it being less blinded. Again, this is an experiment. Maybe we need to change this again in future, but we're trying to make it as fair as possible with our hiring process.
Is it a UK contract when paid in dollars? Is there an automatic conversion to euros?
That's a lot of questions in one. What was the question? Was the question on like what currency the person would be paid
in? I think overall.
So yes, the you'll be paid in the currency of Anna, are you paid in?
Yeah, I think like so. First thing, it's a UK contract. No, so this is a freelance contract. So basically, you in your own country, you would need to set up like kind of independent contractor thing. Like in Portugal, it's called like activity. I don't know how to say it in English, but like when you are a freelancer, you know, like or you have your own like company, you have to register, and then you like create your own like you do your own finances in your country. So like, and then when we are paid, like we are paid through transfer through Wise, it changed name through Wise. So like it automatically does the conversion for your own, like for the account where you are going to receive it. So yeah, like I get paid in euros.
Yeah, and you wouldn't need to create your own contract, by the way. We do have independent contracts, but we would just check that they were correct for the country that you're being employed in. But the responsibility for taxes is on you as an individual. We don't sort out your taxes until we become employees, which, as I said, will be in the not too distant future, but certainly in the future that you would need to sort out your taxes for now.
3 months probation, is this already paid? Yes. How are you shortlisting candidates? Is it based on their responses or their work experience?
Their responses. We do not know about your experience because we're not looking at CVs and LinkedIn.
Like on the application form, we like wrote exactly the points that you get for each thing on the response. So you just have to answer that.
Yes, so pay attention to the specific things. So many people have not actually like written a response to each of the bullet points, and we are scoring you on the bullet points. So that is a little tip for you. Please respond to all of the bullet points, and that will aid you in your application.
Since it is a part-time role, is it allowed to work in other jobs for the rest of the time? Yes, of course. What is the travel component of this role? I think Lauren already answered this one. Does AAC charge a fee to the partnership organizations for matching them with possible candidates? No. Currently, what day and time do the team meetings generally fall on? Or do they vary week to week? Wednesdays, 1 p.m. for me.
Yeah, so that's European time, 1 p.m. And then is our team meeting in the morning or the afternoon? I can't remember. It used to be in the afternoon. I think now it's in the morning.
I think it's lunchtime. Like, yeah, European time, like lunchtime around that.
Yeah, but as I said, we'll share these with you, and if it's problematic for whatever reason, we can shift the team meetings. It needs to be so that everyone can be available for it.
Yeah. How many people are currently in your team? I don't know.
A good question. Okay, so we have our senior operations manager, myself, our researcher and M&E manager. That's one role, even though it sounds like two. There's Anna, who's our senior marketing manager, Patricia, who is our learning and community manager. Is that the second part of her? Nyan, who supports Anna as a assistant marketing person, Anna, and then I think we have one volunteer as well. So that's 8 people.
Yeah. 20 hours per week. How do you check this? Is there a logbook with login, logout, or other? No.
No. You're making me think now. Everyone to do. No, I like it is quite funny because I do know there are specific leaders who are very much, and I hear this all the time because they're like, oh, how do I know the person is doing the hours that they're doing? And the answer is I do not know, but what we do really just care about is that you're doing your job and that we're getting the outcomes that we want. So we will not be tracking the hours that you do, but we have a very trust-based organization in almost everything that we do. So we just hope that you will be inclined to do what you think is right for AAC.
Do you expect to lose freelance opportunities in 2025? So less than a part-time role?
Sorry, I didn't catch the question.
Do you expect to lose freelance opportunities in 2025? So less than a part-time role. I think it's asking if we expect to hire some like freelancers for a few hours.
Oh, that's a good question. In this specific role, it is possible that, for example, we don't find somebody that can do both the partnerships and the candidate database. Like maybe we're asking for two separate skill sets there that aren't combined. That is something that I've thought of. If that's the case, then yes, probably the other part of the role we would need to hire for. And I do think that in general, there might just be extra supplemental things that we want to get freelancers in for. But it's really hard to forecast that at the moment because we haven't developed our strategy for next year. We also don't know what our funding is like for next year, and we don't know how our team is going to be performing against the kind of targets that we set as for the organization. So it's almost impossible to answer that question, but I would suspect that there will be some other future opportunities at AAC at some time next year.
Are you saying we don't even need to submit a resume CV?
That's very good.
I think we are checking it at the final stage, right?
Yes, we are. We are checking it at the final stage. So yes, you do need to submit it.
As an ambassador, is there a guideline of how to present oneself to adjacent organizations and values that you wish to highlight? Yes, so we have like a tone of voice document with our values and like our brand identity and everything, and you would be relying on that. And of course, this is always also subject to feedback, and you could also have like a role in defining these and like giving your feedback and everything. What would the test tasks entail?
So did we say this, Anna? Actually, we're not sure what the second test task is. We're still to kind of decide that as a team. Recruitment is really difficult. It's hard to like plan everything in alongside doing the rest of your job because we're all kind of like doing it alongside. So we've created the criteria of what we're assessing you on, but I don't think we've actually finalized what specific test tasks we're going to do yet. So it will be an exciting surprise for whoever gets through.
How would you describe the energy and general vibe within the team and other colleagues? Thank you.
Probably similar to what you've experienced in this call today. I would say this is like the general vibe of our team, which is that, I think we have relatively good energy. I think we joke and laugh a little bit because, I mean, the work we do is very serious. And I think we just generally try and support each other, collaborative. Maybe you sensed the vibe through the call, hopefully.
Yeah, I was going to say the same. Are the 20 hours spread out 5 work days a week?
They can literally be whatever you want. I think, Anna, you take Fridays off sometimes or all the time.
It depends.
Exactly, depends on how you feel. So you could decide that you wanted to work 2 days or 2.5 days or 3 days, or you could work during the weekend if that it's really, I think it completely depends on the person as to what they do. And I think Anna and I are similar in that my energy levels definitely drop in the afternoon. So often I will just start working in the afternoon and go and take a walk with my very cute dog, and then come back and work later in the evening when everyone else is asleep and not messaging me on Asana. So it really is up to you.
Yeah. Can we choose not to work on a Saturday, Sunday? Yeah, of course.
Please do. That's probably good for your mental health to take the weekend off.
I have almost all skills you need, but I'm not available until beginning of 2025. Can I send you an email or can you offer an open application? I think we need to hire.
I'm hoping that we will have filled the role by the end of 2024 or 2025? But yes, please stay in touch with us. We would love to, if you have skills that we need. As I said, we probably will hire for another role at some point in the not too distant future. So of course, please stay in touch with us. And if you have good skills, you can also apply for other roles. We would love to have your details to for applying for other roles, because that is literally what we do, try and get people roles within the movement, not just for ourselves.
Okay, so we are at the time, but I will just read one more question for Lauren because I think it's a good ending. What is your biggest wish for AAC as you think about your organization in 5, 10, or 20 years from now?
That's a really good question. I know you just want to know the answer. That's why you asked the question. I'm really proud of AAC and how we've developed in the last 5 years. If we continue on the same trajectory for the next 5 or 10 years, I really think that we can do so much good for the world and for animals. I also hope that we stick with the same culture. I really like our team. I think we're very supportive, and yeah, I really hope that we kind of continue with this like startup energy. I would really like that for AAC, but I really see the future like this. So hopefully you would like to contribute to it and join our team too. Ana, that's also a question for you.
I don't think I have much more to add, to be honest. And it's really hard to know, but I think it's like so good right now. And I think really my wish is for it to grow and for us to have like, I don't know, thousands and thousands of people that want to like change their jobs, and we see that we have a lot of impact, and we can really see that the movement is growing, and AAC is helping organizations to have more people working for them. Yeah, like seeing big numbers. It's like it would be a goal for me. Yeah.
Great. Thank you everyone so much for joining, whatever time it is for you. Really appreciate you spending an hour with us and asking all those questions, and really look forward to hopefully receiving some applications from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. We will leave the recording on our website on the job description page. So if you want to like check back something, you can do it there. Thank you.
Everyone, see you later.
Bye.